Hi, I'm Gerry Moxham, founder and ex-shareholder of a company called Click Dealer Limited, based in Stoke-on-Trent. It was a family business. We built that business over nearly 20 years. The business employed myself, who started the business, and also my son and daughter, who were employed in the business. Click Dealer is a company, a software company, we would call it a SaaS-based business today, and we provide SaaS-based services for independent car dealers, or automotive retailers as we would call them today. The business started, as I say, 20 years ago with myself, who was looking for an opportunity. My background is very much business process modelling, business process improvement. And therefore, the independent used car dealer 15, 20 years ago was quite ripe for change. A lot of them are still using manual ledgers, manual stock books, manual purchase sales ledgers. So this was a good environment for us to create some services for. I suppose the key difference for us was at that time most services, our competitors were PC based or client server, and we were always wanted to be internet based. So at the time we were hosted, now we would call us cloud based services. But from day one, that was where I wanted our business to go. Worked hard with one developer to create our hosted services, something called a dealer management system, which the dealer would use for stock control, sales invoicing, bank reconciliations, all that usual stuff. We then progressed into websites, where we provide websites for car dealers, and we also built an online transaction e-commerce function called Click Engage, which allowed a consumer to buy a car online without visiting the dealership. So off we went, and the business grew, and big part of our growth was working with a particular finance company who saw great value in what we delivered to the dealers. So they brought us about 600, 700 customers over a 12, 18-month period. And from that point, that's where Click kind of became more of a structured business. We stopped working from home, and we ended up with an office in Stoke-on-Trent. And at that time, we got up to about 100, 130 people, servicing around about 1,600 dealers up and down the UK. And then the next thing that hit us was really COVID, which hit a lot of businesses. Obviously, the impact on COVID on our client base was that they could not open their showrooms, and therefore they could not transact. And at that stage, that was quite a challenging time for our business as a family business. Cash flow was imperative. We stopped invoicing our customers, and it was quite a challenging time. But out of all challenges, we get the opportunity to make changes and move forward. And by the end of July that year, we'd gone from 130 people to 50. And we started to transact again with our dealers. So we'd built a stronger business off the back of COVID. And I suppose to summarise that, we were entrepreneurial with getting the business to where it was. COVID was a big wake-up call, but instead of collapsing during that period, we took the opportunity to reshape our business and move it forward more successful. We were a bit different really, because our buyer found us. And there was a period during that COVID time where myself, my son and my daughter were very honest with each other about what we saw our future being. And I realised as an individual that the vision I had for that business, which was probably seeing some of my grandchildren, third generation family in that business in another 20 years, that was just my vision, wasn't the vision for my children. They wanted something different in life, and they had a far better work-life balance than I possibly had. So we were kind of thinking during that time, well, if we do another 2-3 years and we've stabilised the business, reduced cost, increased our EBITDA, then maybe we might be attractive to somebody. But we didn't have a strategy to do it. We just were trying to build up better cash, better profitability. Then we were approached. We actually got approached by 2 businesses during 2020, one of which we'd known for quite some time, who actually became the acquirer, and another Canadian-based company that just specialised in buying SaaS businesses. And obviously being approached at that time, coming off the back of COVID and all the pressures that we'd been into, it was a bit surreal because you think, why now? But actually what Evolution Funding, who became our acquirer, they could see massive synergy in acquiring us as a tech business that had 1,800 used car dealers on our books that they could interact and transact with as well. So it made us think, are we going to do it? And unanimously we said if we can get our value to a particular level, yes we will. And also that starts a lot of other processes, you know, as far as selling a business, as a lot of you will know. And we decided that we'd go on that journey and we'd take the risk of disrupting our existing business. And it was at that point that we found UHY. We already knew UHY because some of our dealer customers use them for accounting services. And I think word got out that we might be looking for an exit, and UHY approached us to give us some financial advice and guidance. And you know, that was a good decision we made to bring these guys into our team. I think one of the biggest challenges we faced was the due diligence process, certainly from a legal perspective and from an accountancy perspective. We were unprepared. We hadn't thought of an exit in 20 or 21, so we hadn't done any of that upfront work. And that was a big pressure point on us. Small company, 50 odd people by this stage. You've got to really control sensitivity about this journey. You don't want all your employees knowing this is what you're doing. So that falls really on the owners and the shareholders, which was me, my son and my daughter. We made a decision that really would leave Oliver, who was the CEO at that time and still is, in charge of day-to-day operation of the business. Philippa, my daughter, who was our CFO, she focused 100% on due diligence, both for legal and for accountancy. And I kind of spent 50% doing that. But it was, and I've said before, that due diligence process opened up a lot of positives and some negatives about what our business was. And I would advise any business person who's seriously thinking about one day selling their business, start that process now. Don't call it due diligence, call it business diligence, and make sure you do it. Take something from UHY, which is a model of what those questions are going to be when somebody does come to acquire you, both legally and from accountancy, and get a head start on doing that. Yeah, I think looking back, it would be difficult to see how we could have got through that process without advisors. In the scheme of things, ours was a small deal compared to some of the monster deals out there. And you do think at times, well, maybe I could have done this myself. But as far as UHY were concerned, one of the big things they did, they kind of steadied the ship when it was a bit rocky. And we were kind of like getting a bit concerned and confused about the journey we were on. Definitely did that. And at times as well, they tell us when we should be rocking a boat, just to prick the attention up of the acquirer, which was good. Big thing they did for us though, they helped us to release more free cash. You know, we were cash positive and we're sitting on 7-figure numbers in our bank accounts. Without them, we'd have probably conceded cash based on our acquirer's cash flow projections, but UHY was very strong on that, and I think they got us about a 40% increase in our free cash. So that was very, very good. And the key thing is, you've got to remember these guys have been through this time and time and time again. You know, we've only ever done this once in our lives. It's unlikely we'll ever do it again, but working with people who've done it time and time and time again is very positive. I think for our family, very successful. There were some things that we needed to make sure that we achieved, and the money's fantastic, but it's not all about the money. Our clickers, bearing in mind that we'd gone through a heavy redundancy program 12 months before this acquisition took place, we needed our clickers to feel secure and to make sure that they saw longevity and sustainable jobs. That was a big part of our journey with Evolution. We needed confirmation from them that they wouldn't close the Stoke office, move everything to Chesterfield and reduce headcount. We've achieved that. In fact, our headcount is growing again. The staff needed to feel comfortable that although the founder and his family are selling, that the culture's still the same. Indeed, we're still all there today, 18 months after the acquisition, and we'll still be there for another 6 months to another year, really. And that was good outcomes for us. The synergy outcome is very exciting. That's where our next growth spurt is going to come from. Out of our 1,800 dealers, I think there's only 20% who used Evolution's fundings, broker services in their dealerships. It's a massive opportunity there to introduce their services. And on the other side, they've got 3,000 dealers they transact with, and only 30% of those dealers were our customers as well. So great synergy opportunities, and to see that coming to fruition is very, very exciting. And the key thing is the growth I've seen in my son and daughter, Oliver and Philippa. I did say to somebody at Evolution once that whoever acquires us, I was looking for a good orphanage to put our children into, to learn their next business skills and to take them forward as individuals, because I like to think I'm quite a successful guy. I'm always a positive guy, but I'm very entrepreneurial. And if your entrepreneurial business process drives you mad, you see that sometimes as a stumbling block to be an entrepreneur. But you do realise that you need people around you who understand business process, and to the nth degree. I'd taken Oliver and Philippa as far as I could take them in understanding how to run a business. Whereas with Evolution, a business that was 12 times bigger than us in lots of aspects, they've learned so much. And the respect that the Evolution people have for both Oliver and Philippa and a lot of the other clickers, doesn't matter whether they're just customer services people or senior management, is very high. And that's been so positive to see off the back of the acquisition. I think you need to plan early. I think if you're approached by somebody who wants to acquire you, you're going to go down a similar journey to us. You're a bit unprepared, and then you've got to put a lot of effort and energy into going through those processes. But if you're, as an entrepreneur or a business owner, thinking, yeah, I'm going to exit this business in 2-3 years from now, or whatever time frame it is, start planning today. Due diligence as a process, be it accountancy or legals, will throw up problems. And if you're only 3 months away from a final decision being made to acquire you, you might not have enough time to solve a problem. And in our experience, the problems that you have unearthed in your due diligence or your accountancy journey equals one thing for the buyer, a reason to pay you less money. And if you've overcome all those objectives and you can counter them, you'll get your price. That's how we looked at it. And also, as I said before, don't consider it due diligence. Consider it business diligence, because the more you do of this, the better understanding you have of your businesses, the strengths and the weaknesses and the opportunities. That's what I would say is a big recommendation. Work with your advisors sooner rather than later and actually go through that process. And I think the final thing is be very, very clear as the owner of a business about your objectives for selling it and the goals you want to achieve. Do you want to sell, buy a big boat and go? Or do you want to sell, have capital behind you and stay? These are two big emotional challenges I think that any owner of a business has.